Hey guys, welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today we'll be going over the Indianapolis Colts and their offseason plan to get back in contention and win the AFC South. So if you guys do enjoy, please give a like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell notified when I post next. Let's get into the video of the Indianapolis Colts and how I would fix this team. So obviously, missing the playoffs last year is obviously really bad. You're a quarterback play away from being one of the top teams in the NFL, but we are going to do what we can to fix this team. So starting off with cuts and or trades, we're at $28 million in cap space. I'm going to be starting this team off with a big boom. I'm going to trade DeForest Buckner from the Colts. DeForest Buckner last year had 33 tackles, 7 sacks, 33 run stops, and 35 pressures. He is a great starting D tackle even at the age of 31. He is not signed to a long-term deal. He is on the last year of his deal right now. Not Buckner was re-signed. What's his name? Oh my God, Grover Stewart was re-signed last year. So they obviously want to keep Grover Stewart for the long term a little longer. DeForest Buckner has not gotten a contract extension. And there's no rumors of a trade of DeForest Buckner. He's one of those guys that always is rumored that maybe he gets traded. But, I do think this is the year he does get traded. I feel like many teams will be interested. And I decided to do with the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo gets DeForest Buckner and a 5th round pick, 152 overall. And Indianapolis gets a 2nd round pick, number 52 overall, and they trade away DeForest Buckner, saving $23 million in the cap. And I think they do this because the Buffalo Bills do not get Myles Garrett. I think Buffalo is definitely one of the top teams for Myles Garrett, but I just don't think they can make the money work. And, getting the long-term money and the how much guaranteed money you're going to have to put in for Myles Garrett, I don't see it happening. But DeForest Buckner on the other side, get another interior pressure guy who can stop the run and get pressures. I think that's something that Buffalo really needs. So they get, and only have to give up a second. They don't have to give up multiple 1st round picks for Myles Garrett. They only have to give up 1 2nd round pick to get DeForest Buckner, and they slide back 100 picks while the Indianapolis Colts get off DeForest Buckner, trade up 100 picks in this draft. They get another top 50 pick. That is a very good trade in my opinion. Both teams would feel happy with that. They trade away DeForest Buckner, get that 2nd round pick back. Not horrible. I do think that there's a chance DeForest Buckner stays, but if I'm in the Indianapolis Colts, I'm willing to start going through a slight rebuild to kind of retool this roster and really contend maybe next year. Because I just don't think with how Anthony Richardson is playing, I don't know if there is a Super Bowl window right now. Next, we have Samson Ebukam. I'm going to be cutting Samson Ebukam. Last year did not play. He tore his Achilles in training camp. He was a rotational edge going into the season. Honestly, have Kwity Paye. They drafted the edge as well in Leatu Latu. The multiple guys that they have on young contracts. I just don't think Samson Ebukam would have beat one of them out. Kwity Paye still developing. Maybe Kwity Paye does not return to the team next year. But again, Leatu Latu was a top 15 pick last year. They definitely were not going to start Samson Ebukam over him. I see them going young here on out on the defensive line. Hence why I traded DeForest Buckner. Why I'm cutting Samson Ebukam, $7.5 million. I just don't see this defense. Yes, they did sign Lou Anarumo, I believe is their now defensive coordinator from the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe it's Lou Anarumo. Obviously, they could keep these guys and try and go for a ring, but I just don't see that happen. I think Lou Anarumo knows the multi-year rebuild, and I think Samson Ebukam is one of those guys that it's on the bubble of the age of where they want this defensive line. So we'll be cutting Samson Ebukam and ensuring Kwity Paye and Leatu Latu can be the starters for the future. Then we'll also be cutting Raekwon Davis. Last year, 8 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 5 run stops, and 4 pressures. He was a rotational D tackle at best. He saved $7 million cutting him. It's a no-brainer. This dude is not a rotational D tackle in this room. He just did not put up the numbers to have that large of a cap hit. You get the same production from a vet minimum guy, and I expect the Colts to be active in 1-year flyers. Guys that, maybe last year didn't really produce. They signed for 1 year. They can get 8 tackles, 5 run stops, and 4 pressures out of a dude making $2 million a year compared to 6.4. I just don't see a $6.4 million guy who put up these stats staying much longer. Then with the restructures, I'm going to do no restructures. I just don't see it being needed for the team. They have a lot of cap space now, and they did not have to, restructure anyone to kind of make more cap space. So with the re-signing, $65 million, that's a good number to go in the re-signings for a team that's trying to retool to win the AFC South. First off, I'm going to be re-signing Ryan Kelly. Last year had a 67 PFF grade, 72 pass blocking, 64 run blocking. He only allowed 1 sack. He's a top 5 starting center in the league. We need to keep this group together, right? I think both guards are going to be gone. Both Mark Lewinsky and Will Fries, and Wesley French. I think all three of them are going to be gone next year. So we're going to try and keep the more veteran, all-pro, Pro Bowl proven guys together. I could see a contender poaching him, maybe on a 1-year, highly guaranteed deal, as you've seen in a lot of my other offseason plans. A team that's trying to win next year to sign him to a 1-year massive contract. But I decided to give him a 2-year, $24.5 million deal, $16 million guaranteed at 65% guaranteed. Yeah, one of the best centers in the league. We've seen him work really well with Anthony Richardson, opening up a lot of running lanes for him. We've seen Jonathan Taylor have a lot of success with him as well. I just don't see Ryan Kelly leaving Indianapolis, but if he does, I do see a contender poaching him and getting one of the best centers in the league, and we'll all say, wow, how did Indianapolis let this guy go, and why would they not just pay him what he wanted? Then I'm going to be re-signing Dayo Odeyingbo. 18 tackles, 4 sacks, 19 run stops, and 42 pressures last year. He was a solid starter last year due to Ebukam's injury. Leatu Latu and Kwity Paye did start, but Dayo was a very, that number 3 guy who got, who contended for them for starting jobs. They're a solid group, those 3 together. I imagine more will be added to the group through the draft. He's a great run defender and is a solid pass rusher guy as well. I'm willing to get this guy on a long-term contract. 3-year, $33.5 million deal, $25.5 million guaranteed at 76% guaranteed. I built this contract kind of off what Ogbonnia Okoronkwo got from the Browns, because I think they both played a similar role where, they're a pass rushing specialist who is a really good run defender. I thought they kind of played that similar third defensive end role. That's why Dayo did get that large of a contract. Because I think in the open market, he's going to be very, very valued over a lot of guys that you would shocked, again, valued at. So, entering free agency, you have $46 million, and I think this is the year that Chris Ballard knows he needs to go into free agency and spend some money. Because we all can agree, the Colts since 2018 just hoard money. They let that rollover cap roll over and roll over and roll over. I think this is the first year that Chris Ballard really feels the pressure that his job is on the line. So I think he's going to spend a lot of money in free agency. So, the first signing, I think, is going to be Marcus Mariota to be the backup quarterback. Last year, had 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in 2 games that he did play in. He's been a backup quarterback the last 2 years. He can come in, be a backup plan for Anthony Richardson and the injury insurance. He fits the same scheme. Them and Washington run very similar schemes. And we saw Marcus Mariota in the 2 games he did play in succeed in that kind of a role. Showed he still has a good floor of play this year. I think if Marcus Mariota is the backup for the Colts, you would feel comfortable no matter what. You can run the exact same system. Because when Joe Flacco went in, Joe Flacco's not running the same system as Anthony Richardson. When they made that Joe Flacco move, it made no sense to me. Marcus Mariota can play exactly like Anthony Richardson, and for a lower number than Joe Flacco got last year, that's really solid. 1 year, $8 million, fully guarantee it. Marcus Mariota has a real chance to start next year in games. Because if Anthony Richardson doesn't improve, guess what? He's getting benched, and Marcus Mariota is going to take over the starting job. And maybe Marcus Mariota takes that starting job and runs with it. So I'm going to be beside Marcus Mariota with the intent he never plays, but if he has to, I feel very comfortable with him playing. Next, we'll go with Caleb Farley. Last year had 11 tackles, 0 interceptions, and 3 run stops. He's been a bust of a corner so far. I definitely don't think this guy's getting a large contract or a very large market. Teams could use another young guy. A lot of these corners are on their rookie contracts, and I think Caleb Farley is a very solid 1-year flyer addition. Could see a world where he fights hard for a starting job, but I do see him more as a backup rotation guy. In case of injury, you have Caleb Farley. When he was coming out of the draft, former first-round pick, lots of hype around him coming out. 1 year, $2 million, and I do not fully guarantee this contract. That's very rare for me. You guys see me; I always fully guarantee contracts, especially 1-year deals. I think this is one of those that he may not even make the team. Like, this is a Caleb Farley, we want to bring you in. Lou Anarumo has made bad corners work, and I think Caleb Farley could be a dude that he can, kind of revive his career. But just in case, if we can cut him before training camp, we're going to do that. Next going to be Von Bell, the safety from the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year, 31 tackles, 1 interception, 11 run stops, 2 pass breakups. He's still a solid veteran, strong safety. You have a young secondary, so, having Von Bell as the voice in the room, I think it'd be really good, especially with Lou Anarumo being the defensive coordinator. Having someone who knows his scheme could be very, very helpful. He replaces Julian Blackmon, who Blackman's going to get a massive contract somewhere in the NFL. I don't think the Colts are going to sign Julian Blackmon to an extension. So he comes in, he knows Lou Anarumo's scheme. He ran it, multiple years in Cincinnati, so you have someone who understands what's going on, and you don't have to commit long-term money to him. It's a 2-year, $9.5 million deal, $5 million guaranteed. That is 62% guaranteed. Very solid money for Von Bell. Again, someone who knows the system. So if there are guys that have questions, Von Bell can be the voice. If there are guys that need some help, Von Bell can be the voice because he knows how to run that system. And the last free agency signing I'm going to be going with is Zach Bond. I think Zach Bond is going to end up in Indianapolis Colts. Last year had 111 tackles, 4 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 69 run stops, and 16 pressures. He was, pound for pound, the best linebacker this past year. He led the league in tackles, not sacks. He led the league in tackles. I believe he also led the league in run stops. This dude had an insane season. I've always been a fan of Zach Bond. I remember when he got drafted to the Saints, I was really high on him. Never really worked out with the Saints. Went to the Eagles. I'm like, okay, maybe he has a chance to do something. Never expected Zach Bond to be this, though. You get a dominant run stopper for his defense. You replace EJ Speed, and now him and Zaire Franklin can be that linebacker core. You give him a 4-year, $44.5 million deal, $28.5 million guaranteed. That is 64% guaranteed for Zach Bond, who, again, cashes in on his one really good year with the Eagles. So you're taking a shot on him, right? Is this a one-year wonder with the best team in the league, or is this who Zach Bond is now? You're taking that shot on a 4-year deal. Because, listen, Chris Ballard, Shane Steichen, they got to take chances. I think Zach Bond is the defensive piece you take a shot on. So you're entering the draft with $27 million. Again, you want to save about $9 to $10 million for draft pick signings. So you got about $16 to $17 million. You want to go out and re-sign Mark Lewinsky or Wesley French or Will Fries to keep your offensive line together. Maybe you go and get a tight end. Maybe you go and get another defensive tackle. Whatever you want to do, I'm willing to let that ride and see what happens. But I decided to keep that money and let the CPU fill out the roster a little bit. Because here's my draft. I think I did a really good job of the draft. I'm not going to lie to you. Filled a lot of holes. At number 14, grabbing Tyler Warren from Penn State, the starting tight end. He's a great starting tight end. He does everything. He blocks really well. Really good route runner. Really polished route runner as well. Good hands. Good catch radius. I think he's the final piece of this offense. A blocking tight end who can catch is exactly what the Colts need. And Tyler Warren is not afraid to block. And he's a very good inline and out wide tight end. He can run every route in the route tree. I think this adds another depth to this offense that they don't have currently. Because Jelani Woods had a lot of potential. Alec Ogletree is not really a starting tight end in the NFL. I think Tyler Warren is the last piece of this offense. And guess what? If Anthony Richardson isn't the answer, you now have a very good core of weapons and offensive line for the next quarterback, right? You now have Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Adonai Mitchell, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Jonathan Taylor, and then that solid offensive line. So no matter what, you kind of win. Then at number 45, grabbing Carson Schwessinger. Great in coverage, would pair nicely with Zaire and Zach Bond. Again, I think this is more of your Zaire Franklin eventual replacement in Carson. He had 100 tackles last year, 21 coverage stops, which was 7th in college football. Grabbing a big body coverage linebacker next to Zach Bond for the future, I think that'd be a very good investment at 45. Seriously, the Lou Anarumo defense needs good linebacker play. Both Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson we saw in the last few years, as they declined, this defense declined. So I think Carson Schwessinger and having Zach Bond, who's coming off a career year, that's what you want to invest in with Zaire Franklin currently still on the team. That is what I would do. Then number 56, grabbing Derek Harmon, the D-tackle from Oregon. Great all-around D-tackle in the second round. Would love him to replace DeForest Buckner day one. I see him as kind of like a mini DeForest Buckner. Really good pass rusher. He had 5 sacks from the interior in non-starting minutes. This was not a starter at Oregon, and he still managed to have 43 hurries in 250 snaps at D-tackle. This dude, give him starting minutes in the NFL. I promise you, Derek Harmon is going to be a problem in a year or two. Then at number 80, grabbing Charles Grant. Possible tackle of the future, but I think it could start year one at guard if they don't replace Will Freeze and Mark Lewinsky. I think they definitely could start year one. Bernard Ryman hasn't really developed either, so maybe Bernard Ryman moves in the guard and Charles Grant goes up the tackle. But no matter what, you have a versatile offensive lineman who's played multiple positions on the offensive line, who at William & Mary was a very good starting left tackle, but at worst, you move him in the guard and you have a guard of the future. Then grabbing Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA, another UCLA guy. Again, I like this defense from UCLA. At 115, Great run defender. He played with Latu last year, and they're apparently very good friends. So that's a plus for Oladejo from going to Indianapolis. Get another good young body in this edge room who is a great run defender and has starting pass rusher ability. That's a very good floor to build off of in the NFL. And now you have Kwity Paye, you have Deo Odinjigbo. Oh my God, I can't. Deo, who I re-signed. You then have Kwity Paye, Deo, Latu, and Oladejo. That is a very good young pass rushing group that I think you can build on for the future. Then RJ Mickens at 189 again. Played strong safety and free safety. This dude's always in my mock drafts. He got better every year with more snaps. I could see him being moved around right away as kind of like a chess piece. But even if he does just, as a backup and a special teamer, investment in the future, right? I had to sign Von Bell. RJ Mickens and Von Bell can swap out strong safety minutes. That's something I could, 189, getting a possible starter is highly worth it. Then at 234, taking a shot on Joe Evans from UTSA. Evans, he has upside at D tackle. He was injured this year, only playing 5 games. And if you look at his stats from his freshman season to this season, he was on track to being a day 2 pick. But unfortunately, injures himself in the most crucial year of your college career, the year that you have to declare. He was hurt, so he didn't really get to get much film out there. But the film he does have in his earlier seasons was really promising. So, taking a shot at an injured D tackle at 234, who is a good pass rusher, okay run defender, but definitely more of a pass rushing specialist. I think it's worth it at 234. But yeah, gives me a B-. I don't think that's really that bad. You get Tyler Warren, who's a starter, Carson, who could be a rotation guy, Derek Harmon, who could start, Charles Grant, who could start, Oladejo, RJ Mickens, and Joe Evans all are rotation guys. That's a pretty good mock draft. And then you got Zach Bond, who starts for you, Von Bell, who starts for you, Marcus Mariota, a high-end injury backup, getting Ryan Kelly and Deo back on a contract. That's big. And then getting that second-round pick for DeForest Buckner. That is very valuable. So if you guys enjoy, please do a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification, let me notified when I post next. And again, please go in the description. Follow me on TikTok and on Twitter. I've been posting pretty consistently. Let me know in the comments down below. What would you do different for this Colts offense? Would you maybe invest more money in a backup quarterback, get a more high-end injury safe case? Whatever you want to do, let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.